Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Molnar here. How's everybody doing here? Thanks for joining me for this edition of Meteor Mark's Weather Eastern and Weather Northeastern. Let's take a look and see what we got going on with this system back in the east here. Yeah, we're going to be dealing with some showers and thunderstorms overnight Thursday night into Friday morning, and look at that. That's going to be a clearing memory as we head throughout the weekend. Now, what is going on next week? Let's take a look here. Now, taking a look at the upstairs pattern here, the 500 millibar flow upstairs, so we can figure out what's going to happen downstairs. You know, as we head throughout the weekend, there's that system blasting here to the east, so we're going to have a little brief cool down, if you can even call it that. But look what we got going on next week. It kicks into more of a zonal pattern here. You can see here across the eastern two-thirds of the country here, you can see this. Basically, this jet just cruising along Sunday, the 19th, and as we continue on next week, we get these little impulses. They come out of the southern plains here, and you can see this one here across the Ohio Valley. We'll have another one out here across the Central Plains, and as we continue to cruise along here on the European model, you can see those pretty well stay a little bit apart here. There's the northern branch, the southern branch. So this is what we got going on. Is what's going to happen in between here? Well, the Europeans kind of tepid on this, not really producing, many massive storms. But look at this piece of energy. This is Wednesday the 22nd, 23rd. Look at this. This piece of energy right in here. You can see out ahead of it here, we might see some severe weather behind it. There it is. What's going to happen with this is, so as we go out in time here, as we get towards the 23rd, that key date that many of you are talking about, the European pretty much shoves this system here all the way up towards the Great Lakes. So what is that going to do? That's going to drag some warm air, you guessed it, once again here across the eastern part of the country. And look at that. That stays up there to the north come the 24th. So the European is quite, has been different here from the GFS, and that pretty much remains to the north through Sunday the 26th. So as we get to next week with the GFS, let's see what the differences are here. It's always nice to compare these two. I know some of you groan about the GFS, but we got to take a look, at every model that we have available to us just to see what the possibilities are. As we go to Tuesday the 21st, here's that piece of energy coming out a little bit quicker here on the GFS here across the southern plains. You see that jet riding up to the north like this. So how is this going to translate in differences? Well, the GFS is taking this, starting to take this, the 22nd. There's two pieces of energy, one back here across the plains in Colorado, and then one back east here. So as we continue, let me just go out a little bit because the energy's kind of separated a bit. But as we continue in time here, take a look at that. The GFS now is starting to trend, it looks like, ever so slightly to the north here. So it's actually starting to look a bit more like the Euro. This is exactly what I was fearing was going to happen. So we'll see how that translates down onto the surface maps. But look at that. Stays pretty much to the north there. And just going out a little bit farther than we did at the 25th, 26th there, 27th, GFS, yeah, take it with a grain of salt, but it's kind of indicating that we could have the potential for some sort of East Coast system. And then the system gets really cranked up here, and, couple chances according to the GFS, that first part of March there, see that? That could be a bomb. I'm not sure if I'm buying this at the moment, though. All right, let's take a look at the GFS. We'll go through the precipitation here. Take a look and see what the model's got for us here. We're going to continue, and here we go. So look at this as we head throughout, early next week. Do we see any large-scale systems? Well, it's not until about Wednesday. Actually, let's just back that up there. There it is, Wednesday the 22nd. Here it is. You have that piece of energy coming out of the Rocky Mountains. Then you have this next piece of energy here, mid-Mississippi River Valley up to the Ohio Valley. Watch what happens here. I showed you on the upper air 500 millibar flow. Look at that. Yeah, pulls all that warm air up here to the northeast. GFS is agreeing with the European model. And look how that pulls out Friday. There is nothing to be said here. This is exactly what I feared was going to happen. For you people who hate snow, you just love this. Yeah, this is just, look, we're hinting at maybe some snow by the 28th, but this is not a favorable pattern here for snow, and I'm questioning the GFS, kind of breaking down the pattern here. I think this ridge in the east, unfortunately, is going to continue. But if you don't like snow, this is the winter for you. All right, so taking a look at the surface map of the European model, there we go. We're plowing that system to the east here, dragging that cold front through the mid-morning hours of New York, Pennsylvania, down and through the Carolinas. Some gusty thunderstorms along it. Rain changing to some wet snowflakes here on the backside, but nothing really to write home about here. We make it some light accumulation. More accumulation up there in northern New England. Look at that. High pressure really kicks in for Saturday and Sunday there across the east. Look at that. Into Monday, until you have this little system up here into Quebec, it starts to cause a little bit of havoc here, if you want to call it that, here across the northeast. Some scattered showers, maybe a few wet snowflakes mixing in. But you know what? Temperatures are going to be in the 40s for the most part, so very marginal. We get these little clipper-type systems, but they're really not going to amount to much here across the northeast. Now, look at this. Here's our big old Colorado low already starting off to blow up here. What is it going to do? It's going to pull down some big old moisture. This is going to be our next big system here. Take a look at this. And you can already see the isobars pointed towards this direction, bending this way. What does that mean? That means, yep, it's going to want to go towards the northeast here. So, yep, for you snow lovers here in the east, you knew it was coming. It's just going to pull up some very warm air. Look at that, 990 millibars towards Chicago, towards Thursday the 23rd. Yeah, there's a big old cold high up here to the northeast, but look at this. You're pushing up some very warm air up here. And look at this. You don't really get into really severe weather here. That's good news. Most of the energy is spent on what could be a blizzard up here across the North Country. So watch out for this. This could be a big winter storm for you. Northern Maine, again, getting clipped, but I don't know. I just don't see any snow for the big cities of the northeast coastal areas. It's just, look at this. It's just not happening. We do get some trough of low pressure behind this low pressure Friday the 24th, so we might enhance a little bit of snow inland here, but this is not going to be anything major by any stretch of the imagination. And yeah, the European is hinting at something. This is right around the time that the GFS is hinting at something here too. You see this trough really kicking in. This first low, you see evidence that there might be a secondary low developing here. This is, unfortunately, this is our last frame. But, when you go this far out, the margin of error is very great. But it is interesting to see this patterns here. But you know what? We've seen this time and time again where it'll disappear in a couple days. So taking a look at the height anomalies here on the European model, take a look at this. Yeah, we got that front moving through, but look how quickly that ridge builds in. Want to draw your attention. Of course, your eyes are probably drawn to this big old upper level low here into north central Canada up towards Hudson Bay. That's just going to slowly pinwheel down Tuesday into Wednesday. Yeah, it doesn't last very long in the northeast. It tries to get its tentacles up here into parts of New England, but look at it just has its eyes on the west. And this is where we get a big old mega storm out west here. It's just going to continue to blast, and you guessed it. This is going to result in a massive firecracker ridge here across the east. Look at this. Right across Florida, you're going to be seeing record highs again, probably mid to upper 80s, maybe pushing 90 in some areas. That's crazy to even think about this time of year, but look at this. Yeah, it tries to, there's a hint that it might try to exert some influence. This is Sunday the 26th. What's going on here? Well, we'll have to see if this is just a blip, but usually you don't see a big old trough out east here in the northeast when you have a trough out west. All right, so you want to take a look at total quantitative precipitation amounts here. This takes us through late Thursday night into Friday and the weekend. There it is. The only areas that stand a chance to see significant, continuing on to Thursday night. Look at this here in the northeast. You got a rain shadow going again. So you only pick up a 1/4 inch on average from some of these gully washers, if you can call them that. And let's see, we head into Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, it's not till next week we really start to bring on that winter storm here north of Chicago and Detroit. This area could be under the gun. And look at this out west. You're just getting blasted with mountain snow, valley rain. All right, so as you want to take a look at snowfall totals here, there it is with that system. I told you most of it would be north of the Canadian border in the northeast. You see, we get this stretch here across central Michigan. We could get upwards of 6 to 8 inches. I'll zoom in on this momentarily, but look at this here across northern Maine. That's where the big winter is going to be. You're going to be upwards of a foot here up towards Caribou, Maine, clipping over the border. So this is going to be a big deal for southern Ontario and Quebec. And if you want to take a look through next week, we'll just add on top that, yeah, look at that. That just shows the rich is going to get richer when it comes to snow. Look at this, the west blasting into the mountains. You're going to get snow in the feet here, way up here, 28 to 60 inches. But look at here. You're going to make up for lost time here across the northern plains, stretching on into the Midwest, and then heading up towards northern New England. But look at this. You just stay pretty much snow-free here across parts of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. All right, so I wanted to show you total snowfall amounts here across the Midwest. This takes us through early Saturday morning. You can see most of this falling Thursday night into Friday. You can see Chicago area, the northern suburbs could pick upwards of some advisory criteria, upwards of 4, 5, maybe 6 inches. Then you get into southern parts of Wisconsin here, and then into central Michigan, well north of Detroit here, where you could get upwards of 6 to 9 inches. And let's take a look at the Northeast here. Yeah, to tease you. This is quite a tease. Look how close that comes there. That's northern Maine for the most part. You might get some, get some advisory criteria, snow, sleet, and freezing rain here across the North Country. But you know what? For the most part, we are talking about a North Maine snowstorm here. There's, when the snowflakes start to mix in with the rain Friday morning and Friday afternoon, it's not going to really amount to much here across the Northeast. Now, let's just kick this into next week. Yeah, it's basically northern Maine here and southern Quebec, southern Ontario. Look at this. This is crazy. Might get something down here, but you know what? That's on the onset, and of course, the snow over changes to rain, so this will probably mix out to nothing in the end. All right, so let's take the HRRR model here. We're going to take a look at convective activity first, and then we'll take a look at the snow on the northern periphery. I just have our composite reflectivity future radar here for the HRRR. Now, take a look at this. Yeah, this majority of the thunderstorms that are going to be pushing through overnight Thursday night into Friday morning. You can see from upstate New York all the way down to the Gulf Coast here. But there's some strong areas that I think, are to note here. Definitely this area here. And we might see some gusty cells develop up here in the Northeast, although I'm not expecting any widespread severe weather outbreak. Now, as we continue throughout the night, Thursday night, 5 a.m. Friday morning, look at this. Yeah, models have slowed down a little bit on the passage of this frontal boundary. You can see there's going to be some strong thunderstorms here around North Carolina, heading down into the Appalachians, just east of Atlanta, and then heading right up the spine of the Appalachians here. We could have some isolated gusty cells all the way up to Binghamton, Syracuse, Rochester area. Now watch as we go throughout the day. You can see 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. You start to see the energy really pulls up here into the Northeast. So we get some stronger cells from Richmond, Virginia, all the way up here to Binghamton, New York. Take a look at this. Some gully washers kicking in. And as we continue throughout the morning, that line, you can see this line of convection. It doesn't look that impressive, but this could contain wind gusts over 50 miles per hour. So keep that in mind. 11 a.m., we start to get into some daytime heating. Would not be surprised if we get some gusty thunderstorms moving through the Capital District down to the Catskills, Poconos. Look at this. 1 p.m., we're in the lower Hudson Valley, all the way up into western Connecticut, parts of southern Vermont. And look at that, down into New Jersey, just west of New York City. Some of these thunderstorms could contain wind gusts over 55 miles an hour, and that continues in a very narrow line down here into North Florida. Now, take a look at this. How far east? You can see this is just going to continue to plow east. 3 p.m., it's knocking on your door, northwest Boston here. You can see some stronger thunderstorms all the way up to Augusta, Maine. Crazy for this time of year. And that line of convection goes all the way down to the Gulf Coast. And look at this as we head in time. It's going to slowly weaken for you, so it's not going to be tremendously severe by this point. But let's just zoom out. We'll see how quickly this moves out. You can see by 5 p.m., 6 p.m., there is some lake effect snow kicking behind it. Let's kick in with our winter radar here. All right, so as we continue here with our winter radar, you can see, let's just take the back side of it, and then I'll show you the whole north. Actually, let's just go to the north country here first. So you're starting off with Thursday night. You can see where the snow is going to be north of Detroit. Ending in Chicago area, heading up mixed precipitation all the way to Montreal. Northern Maine's really getting clipped, but look at this. A lot of sleet pellets, ice pellets up towards Buffalo, Rochester, Watertown, Plattsburgh, Burlington, and then heading up towards Caribou, you're just mainly snow. And watch this in time as we go. There it is. We're changing over to some sleet and ice pellets. Cortland, Ithaca by 10 a.m. Syracuse, you're over to snow by 10 a.m. Friday morning. Look at that. And as we continue to plow east here, changing over to ice pellets there in Binghamton by 11 a.m. And look at this. We get some lake enhancement and some orographic lift down here, parts of eastern Ohio, parts of the Appalachians here. And you see up here in the Northeast, we get some narrow bands of snow that might try to set up, but Maine is really getting clipped up here for the most part. You can see we actually have snow showers all the way down here to North Georgia and the northern part of Alabama. So watch out. Some of these, look at this. There's some pretty convective snow cells here, if you want to call them snow squalls. So definitely keep an eye on this. There could be some instability behind this front. But as we continue in time, that's going to shut down pretty quickly. You know, Boston, you never really truly switch over to snow here. And we pull that out, and it's going to strengthen. But by that time, look at that. You're out of it for the Northeast. Sun's basically building in here. All right, to my Atlantic, Caribbean friends, Central American friends, Gulf of Mexico, look how beautiful you are down here this time of year. You do have some stratus clouds kicking in there out towards the weekend, but you know what? For the most part, you're going to be low humidity, and you are going to be enjoying it. Enjoy it while it lasts here. And as we head over to the Western Pacific, how are my friends from the Philippines up to Japan, China, South Korea, Vietnam, all these areas here in the Western Pacific, what is going on? So let's take a look here and see. Yeah, you got a problem here towards Friday. Yeah, look at this, 10 p.m. Central Philippines, you got a big old tropical wave moving in your direction here. This could bring some heavy rain, but look at this. By 10 a.m. Saturday, it's booking to the northeast. It is going to pull some moisture up, and then Sunday, we finally see some clearing here. Thankfully, it's nothing up here in the Japanese area, Chinese area. This is just not your time of year for tropical systems. I mean, they can happen, but it's not likely that it's going to happen. Now, take a look at this. You go through a period of a week here in the Philippines where you're mostly rain-free. Saturday the 25th, you see some showers kicking in the southern portions of the islands here, but here up in the north, maybe a few showers as well. But you know what? It could be a lot worse this time of year. Look at this. And we continue to kick some tropical waves. You start to see the intertropical convergence zone really start to kick in towards the 28th. We head towards March. Southern Philippines here, getting into the central Philippines. Would not be surprised if you get some heavier gully washers here, but look at this. Yeah, it's kind of persistent here across the central Philippines through the first week of March. Yeah, that big old blob doesn't start to move until the 4th. And by that time, you're starting to dry out. But at this point, you know, we're starting to really kick up the ITCZ out here. Take a look at that. And Derek Rentschler from Middle Creek Wildlife Management Area, Pennsylvania. Snow geese and bald eagle at Middle Creek. You can hear them off in the background there. Take a look at that. I kept the sound going. Lebanon County, Pennsylvania. Take a look at this. This is the annual snow geese. Look how many there are across the region. It was a really nice day. And a bald eagle. There's the bald eagle catching. Look at that. Oh, that's a nice capture there, Derek. Oh, that looks like a beautiful day, too. Look at that. There they are, looping around to the beginning of the video. This is the annual trek that they make, and they pretty much land in his area just about the same time every year. Take a look at that. Those are some nice captures. Nice capture, nice video there, Derek. All right, so we'll take a look at temperatures here. We're starting off with the weekend. You can see Saturday, those temperatures start to plummet. So look at there in the northeast. You go from the 50s early morning, Friday morning, and look how quickly you plummet throughout the day. So if you're going to work, you'll probably be in the 50s. Coming out of work, you'll probably be in the 20s. Look at that. And just account for that. And look at that. Saturday morning, teens and 20s. But look how quickly we warm it up. There's Sunday morning. Sunday afternoon, Monday, look at that. Yeah, we're going to start to see some really warm air here across parts of Texas and Florida as well. So as we head into Tuesday, look at how warm we get. You're actually going to be pushing close to 90 in parts of South Texas here in South Florida. Look at this. So we start to set up, a baroclinic zone where you got some massive cold to the north here and some big-time warmth to the south, and that could usually spell some trouble for severe weather. So I'm hinting the models might not be picking up so much on that just yet, but look at this. I just have to think that somewhere there's going to be severe weather in this. This is Thursday, February 23rd, but look at this. You start to see the warm air start to push into the northeast. Look at these single digits into parts of the northern plains as you wake up Thursday morning. And look at that. We push those. Let's just back that up one frame. That's 71 degrees there in Pittsburgh and parts of south central Ohio near Dayton. Look at that. That's crazy to even think about. And look at that we get a cold push Friday morning, Friday afternoon, kind of hinting that maybe we might have some cold air stick around for the last weekend of February, possibly. We'll have to see if this holds true. We've seen the euro back off on this many times again, but take a look at that last frame. That's a big old chunk of cold air across the northern plains. Extended outlook from our hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, Upper Susquehanna, River Valley of New York, Pennsylvania. Friday, yeah, look at that. The rolls are reversed. A low of 46 with temperatures falling to 27 for a high by 5 p.m. if you want to call that a high. That's your afternoon hours. You'll be falling through the 30s into the upper 20s. Windy conditions, less than an inch of snow. We might see some sleet pellets mixing with the rain. Rain changing to sleet and then back over to snow and ending pretty quickly and abruptly. It could have some thunder too. Sunny skies Saturday after a cold start, 16, but look at that, 45 into Sunday. Cloudy skies, 47, and look at that, Monday, a little tiny system moving through the northeast, maybe less than a tenth of an inch of rain. But you're up towards 50, into Tuesday, you can't complain, 43 degrees. Thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather Northeastern and Weather Eastern. Don't forget Facebook MeteoMark, Weather Northeastern, also Hurricane Northeastern, at Susquehanna Weather for my local page. And guess what? MeteoMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com is Twitter, at Weather Eastern. Don't forget, question or comment down below. Smash that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell button, share the video, and thanks for joining me.